Good morning and welcome to Failure is Not an Option. We'll be looking at 8 specific areas to turn defeat or adversity into success. My name is Sophia Misplan and I will be your host this morning. So, with the ever-changing South African landscape and the increased need to provide the answers to its future economic growth, Business Doctors have, together with our strategic partners, developed solutions that not only address this critical aspect of helping businesses succeed, but go further by ensuring the success of these businesses through focused solutions that drive high-end growth targets of up to 75% improvement in business value and earnings. We have, over the last 12 years, focused on developing solutions and analysis capabilities through our network of experienced professionals. We have both internationally and locally built a team of experienced business professionals that come with years of experience of industry and general management consulting experience. Business Doctors is well established and operates a national network able to support business development initiatives down to provincial and local level. With years of collective experience in finance, marketing, business analysis, organizational development and design, governance, and so on, we have developed a very specific analysis and development framework that address the following core challenges business face. The inability to simulate and avoid real-time business issues and risks, the lack of a truly strategic and innovative approach to ensuring growth and development, the lack of competitive strategy driving at least 30% year-on-year growth, the need to develop and grow businesses not using the conventional learning and development methods, the inability to accurately measure improvement and increased ability to compete. Business Doctors have an incredibly sophisticated set of diagnostics that really excite me. I have been working in the space of strategy for over 30 years, and until such time as I was introduced to Business Doctors and its intellectual property, my way of consulting really took a very long time because I deep dive. It took me a long time to do the analysis and to come up with a report that is quantitative as well as qualitative. The way Business Doctors have developed their tool, it has basically cut my consulting time in terms of preparing reports by 90%, which makes my services far more affordable. But enough about that. Let's go and look at the 8 focus area that can turn defeat or the crisis, the cataclysmic COVID that we've just faced into success. So we only need to look at these stats in terms of what is going on in our country at the moment. The figure here in January 2020 was at minus 0.5. I want to cry when I look at these figures. And if you look at the future projections beyond what is shown here, it is going to get a lot worse before it's going to get better. You can see here on this graph, it looks like we will only start turning this around towards the end of 2021. Now, according to the report that goes along with these figures, 5 and 6 businesses surveyed experienced a drop in turnover. 85.4% of businesses surveyed reported turnover below the normal range. So let me just close this off. So 36% expect further revenue decline. And, my guess is just by talking to my customers, I think that this figure may be a little bit ambitious. 42% were unable to maintain operations. And 65% of the people surveyed expected the impact to be worse than 2008, 2009. So we draw reference to Apollo 13, which I think is a very appropriate reference to use at the moment. One may think that, the effect of COVID on business won't affect lives in the way that the Apollo 13 crew were endangered. But the reality is it is. It is at a completely different level. But sadly, the effect on people's livelihoods, on their mental health, on their feelings of absolute desperation. I cannot see that there's much different. Just have a look at this. So with Apollo 13, I'm not sure if you've seen the movie. If you haven't, have a look. A routine stir of an oxygen tank ignited damaged wire insulation inside it, causing an explosion that vented the contents of both of the service module's oxygen tanks to space. Without oxygen needed for breathing and for generating electric power, the ship's propulsion and life support systems could not operate. Although the lunar module propulsion system was designed to support 2 men on the lunar surface for 2 days, Mission Control then used and improvised new procedures so it could support 3 men for 4 days. The crew experienced great hardship caused by limited power, a chilly and wet cabin, and a shortage of portable water. There was a critical need to adapt the cartridges for the carbon dioxide removal system to work in the lunar module propulsion system. The crew and mission controllers were successful in improving the solution. I want you to think of the cataclysmic effects that COVID has had on you. And it is a really good idea to reflect on, in your own world, what has been the effects? What has been the outcomes of what we faced with COVID? You know, I think a lot of people have gone back to work and it seems to be business as usual. The reality is it's not, and it's never going to be. You know, and we can jump straight in and carry on with business as usual, and it's not going to yield a lot of success. There's a lot of gifts that has come from COVID. You know, the ability to really have a look, and I'm going to delve into that a little bit later. But stop, take a breath, and have a serious look at every aspect of your business. Never has there been a more opportune time to do this. So the story of Apollo 13 is one of hope, of inspiration, perseverance, and one that holds many useful parallels for those in business. What are those parallels, you may ask? Consider the actions that contributed to the success of the Apollo program, and we will explore. So the first one is all about this. This has been repeated, and it's actually become a little bit of one of those phrases that if people say vision, mission, values, you go like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. However, if your vision or your why, your reason for existence is not clear, you have a problem. Then the second thing is picking the best people. It may sound a little bit hard and a little bit clinical to say, it is time to clean up house. It is time to critically look and see the contributions your staff, your team is making to your business. And I'm sorry to say, there's no more time for passengers. It doesn't need to be bad, but it is time to have a look. Have a look at your org structure after you've looked at your business model. Have a look at the individual skills that is in each one of those positions in your org structure and see what is fitting and what isn't. The next thing is build a team, the best possible team. Once your management or your leadership structure is in place, go and put the best possible people to support that leader. Then support them with the best technology. So we know that one of the core changes for the last couple of years and definitely going forward is technology and digitization. In many ways, this will determine the survival or failure of businesses. Train and improve constantly. The thing here is just that you need to know what it is that needs to be trained. So, you know, it's just such an intricate web, or, you know, all the puzzle pieces need to fit for the picture to be complete. So the old ways of doing training and development will never fit again either. It is costly and it's ineffective. Then prepare for the unexpected. I've just written an article recently on strategy and the way going forward. And in my 30 years of doing the work that I do, agility has been one of those things that I have punted particularly hard. I personally don't have much of an issue with change. In fact, I encourage it. You know, nothing good has ever grown in stagnant water or has ever come from stagnant water. So we can't just speak agility and the actions don't follow, because we will not survive if we do that. Then we need to improvise, so this is about your fitness levels, being able to see an obstacle coming and learning to dance around those obstacles. And then more importantly, do not have a victim mentality, but a victor or a creative mentality where you take perceived defeat and you turn it into success. So some of the tools and methodologies that we use at Business Doctors is business planning, innovation, marketing, customers, capability, financial, lead generation, sales, management, and of course, governance. So let's look at vision. So with Apollo 13, the vision was we choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they're easy, but because they're hard. Because that goal will serve and organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. So the question here is, what is your vision? If your vision sits outside of you, this is a core checkpoint. If your vision sits outside of you, you may have been lucky to get to the point that you are. But the question here is just, what is your level of fulfillment? Do you get out of bed really excited and amped to go and work towards what you set out to achieve? So my invitation to you is read Simon Sinek's book on Start With Why. This little book has been one of the most profound pieces of literature that supported what I have been trying to teach clients for a very long time. Simon Sinek is just very articulate, and he's managed to put it in such a beautiful way that is understandable. And one day when I'm big, I hope to have that level of articulation. So looking at business planning, once your vision is achieved in terms of what is the ultimate goal for your existence, we actually cannot ignore looking at our business model canvas again. It is time to really critically look at doing an as-is in terms of your business model. So looking at your customer segments existing, your existing channels, your value proposition as it stands, your customer relationships, in terms of how likely are customers to buy from you again and how satisfied are they really with what you offer. Then having a critical look at your key resources, like we've mentioned before, in terms of your org structure, your finances, anything else that constitute a key resource. Looking at your key activities. So are you doing the right things right? Or is there a lot of busyness that doesn't necessarily yield results or support your strategy? And then having a look at key partnerships, or key partners. If something has worked for a very long time, I personally experienced this where I was so incredibly satisfied with my key partners in delivering my services to the market. But what I did with being sort of like almost a miser with that, not touching it, not really looking into it, I missed out on tremendous opportunities to partner with, to get fresh blood in, to get better pricing in terms of, the collaboration between the key partners. So the invitation is do a very thorough as-is analysis on the business model, then going into your cost structures. And really, you've got a loose attachment. You've got to really seriously unpack those cost structures and then go and have a look at your revenue streams. Have a look at your assets. Have a look at tightening the belt, but please do it cautiously. Penny wise, pound foolish, always let that be top of mind for you. But it's time to cut the unnecessary expenses. There just simply is not time to do that. So once you've done this as-is analysis, take it, put it aside, and then bring the right people into frame, right? So bring your team. You may think that they don't know enough, but you'd be surprised with what people on the floor can bring, what value they can bring to your business model and your strategy. Rebuild the customer segments to look perfect, realistically perfect. Then again, look at your channels, your value proposition, your customer relationships, your key resources, key activities, and your key partners. Then go and build your cost structures and have a very critical look at your revenue streams. Then the invitation here is a little bit of a controversial one. Invite those disruptive voices. Almost do a dragon's den where you invite people from outside to present this business model canvas, and then invite them to tear it apart. Because I can tell you the growth that you get and the ideas that come forward from those dragon's dens are absolutely valuable. The big thing here is that you cannot be oversensitive to the feedback. But hey, there is no more time to be sensitive about these things. So the business planning tool through Business Doctors, what we're showing you is a very light version of it. So there's a whole lot of things that we will run through there. Looking at Porter's five forces the step analysis, looking at a SWOT analysis, but all of these have metric associated to them. So it's not like the old-fashioned like SWOT analysis where you put strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. There's actually a construct within each one of these tools with a score that tells you exactly where you are. Once we've done all of that, we take you into the project prioritization. What is it that needs to happen for you to realize this business planning? And then, of course, from there, we go and do a balanced scorecard where we capture the outcomes of that financial planning. We build a scorecard around it. Now, we've spoken lightly about picking the best people. Like NASA chose astronauts, we must also seek to partner with the most talented people available. So, yeah, it is, talent is not just the ability for people to do a particular task. It's not just about that specialist skill. It is also about the fit to the organization, the social intelligence, the emotional intelligence. You can develop people if the attitude, if the social and emotional intelligence is there and the skills are there. You can always develop the actual physical hardcore skills. It is just a lot more damaging and a lot more hard work to work on the emotional intelligence and the social skills. So here it is critically important that you actually look at doing a team analysis to see what is this team made up of? As a tool, please, there are many. But, a particular tool that I quite enjoy is looking at the Myers-Briggs personality profile. And that is a personality profile, but it basically tells you, it gives you a scattergram of the team makeup. So you can see where you're short. So balancing that team, making sure that you have an equal distribution of all the personalities makes for a stronger fit. It anchors the team in all the right places. So how do you manage your resources? Are you actually aware of what your people really bring to the table? A typical pitfall is we hire people, we put them into positions, they get on with it, and we lose sight. So I hate people being referred to as assets, but people really truly are your biggest asset. So, how would you manage any other asset? You will not do it the way that we manage people. So you really need to understand the capability of that asset. You need to understand what development can you do to make that asset even more effective for you. And of course, it's a two-way street. You develop so that you can get execution of your strategic goals, but you also develop people on the other side. So something here to look at as well as your succession management. So I've recently worked in a client where if their core team had to dissolve for some reason or the other, business would have to close their doors. In 30 years of their 50-year existence, they've not done much with regards to succession management. So, at the moment, they're scrambling to make sure that they get the right people underneath these core skills, because we've got retirement of some people in 2 years' time. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if they're going to be ready for that handover. So, there are multiple models for how you should do your succession management. So something that sits with your succession management, of course, is understanding what particular core elective and technical skills is required for each one of these positions, and then analyzing, doing a skills audit of sorts to see what exactly do you have in the business, what can you it's like a mining expedition, and you'd be surprised with the gold that you actually get from mining. And then build your succession matrix. Every single person that is in your organization, unless you didn't choose them, but they were effectively chosen because they brought a gift. Somebody saw a gift in that particular person, and that is why it's in your organization. So as leadership, give people a fair chance in terms of assessing their skills, give them the requisite development that they require, obviously within reasonable time, and see where that takes you. If there is still a mismatch, then by all means, I would suggest that you critically look at reshaping your team. Okay, then supporting the team with the best team. So no matter how good the astronauts were, they would never have been successful without the team that supported them and their mission. In business, it's not the individual, but the team that achieves the objective. So how strong are your managers? Have you ensured a high level of management and leadership capability across all areas of business? So, we elaborated on the succession conversation a little bit earlier, and that ties in very nicely with this, but also make sure that your managers are capable of building the people underneath them. So there's a management and leadership assessment within our tool. Very specifically. So this is not, the thing with HR is typically that, we touch in the dark. So it's like, I think it's this, or I think it's that. By following this particular assessment, it will tell you exactly where the gaps are. And this will allow you to do something about it a lot quicker. So then supporting the team with the best technology and innovation, even though you may not have NASA's budget for your next initiative. Investment in technology and innovation, and pay huge dividends in market share growth and success. So the way that even small businesses is digitizing. I work with quite a few smaller companies as well as the larger ones. The larger ones typically have budget and they have specialist skill in terms of their technology and digitization. For the smaller guys, what I've done for all of them is because typically processes are not in place. There are things slipping through the cracks from a finance perspective, from a governance perspective, from an HR perspective. So what we've looked at doing for the smaller guys, we've actually built a tool in the form of a workflow that, you can't proceed until the previous steps has actually been executed. So this is forcing in a digitized way compliance to specific policies and procedures. It kicks out flags, it kicks out warning signals, et cetera, so that the business owners can pay attention to. We've even built in consequences. So if it gets to a point where there's non-compliance, and it's escalated up and down and whatever, it kicks out a message to say, hey, the consequences of this is X. So here also what I have found throughout my career with the bigger companies as well is I have seen some phenomenal technology. What I have also seen is that organizations don't understand the capability of the technology that they have within their businesses. They also have not looked at how then do we put this whole thing together. So there's in many companies a lot of disparate systems that they've spent fortunes on. However, there's still gaps, there's still overlaps, there's still too much money being spent on technology. So the invitation here is that you really review your technology very, very critically. Right, stepping on to marketing. So everybody sells. It's really quite important for us to unpack our marketing campaigns and our marketing approach. So the lead acquisition model ensure innovation translate into viable new product and solutions, and that it follows a standard process. It cannot be haphazard. Your lead acquisition, your sales process, your marketing process, you cannot do this haphazardly. And also this is something that we see even in our own business, not being marketing specialists, is that our approach has been a bit haphazard. And then having put our own business through the turnaround strategizer straight after COVID has made us realize that we're working way harder than what we actually should have to. And this tool has clarified it for us very nicely. We are in the position where we have 1,300 people in our, our CRM. And we are slowly getting into a process where we're working through these and implementing a proper CRM, qualifying those leads, etc. So the next thing is training and improving constantly. The Apollo astronauts trained constantly. A backup crew trained beside them. For business teams, training is essential, whether to understand the technology being developed, business diagnostic tools for implementation. Training is better done beforehand rather than in the heat of implementation. Typical pitfall, again, we have to put our hand up. Business is crazy. We basically jump in and we do what we have to do, and training falls by the wayside. Having said that, though, it is critically important for us to, in our balance scorecards for our staff, make them equally responsible for their training and development. It's a two-way street. If leadership is expected to do this all the time, guess what? It's never going to succeed. But if there is a collaboration, both people taking responsibility for training and development that is going to aid towards, remember we spoke about the skills analysis, we spoke about the specific needs for the organization to succeed, and then doing a gap analysis to see who needs what training. So please, whatever you do, make sure that your training is in line with your strategic execution. Otherwise, you're wasting money. Right, capability. Now, the capability analysis is one of the things that excite me more than most. So the capability analysis for me speaks very much to strategy within. It is not the marketing strategy where we are looking at market conditions, et cetera. This is all about fixing the things that are not working inside. In my 30-year career, this is the area where I have had the biggest result working with customers, is fixing the things that is leaking money from within. So with the capability analysis, we unpack the strategic planning, we unpack CRM, we look at lead generation, we look at measurement, we look at market research, we unpack sales. Very importantly, an area that really fascinates me and that really switched my lights on is the organizational development and design. Human resources, there's a full tool that looks at human resources, and then systems and technology, and then product development. So within each one of these areas, there's a set of constructs that make up strategic planning and CRM and lead generation and so on. So this is a very, very comprehensive look at just what does your core capabilities look like. Again, you don't need to go like, I think. It basically tells you where you need to go and do your work. Then agility, preparing for the unexpected. For the astronauts and mission planners, preparing for the unexpected was a crucial part of the program. They knew they were exploring uncharted territory and had to prepare contingencies for situations they might encounter. In business, preparing for the unknown starts with the initial planning, when allowances should be built into the plan to account for both known and unknown possibilities. So the question, are there changes that impact your business? You bet there is. And there are changes on a daily basis. Complacency is the biggest killer of growth, of survival, a cataclysm that we've just faced. So again, this is a topic that really switched my lights on. It's about building agility. It's about having awareness. There's a story that we teach on the philosophical side of our business, and it's the story of Master Key and Kawazu, and I'll gladly share that with you. But it's about developing a sharp consciousness. Not having staff in their job, doing their job, and not being aware of what goes on around them. Leadership trying to keep it together, not knowing what goes on around them. Super successful companies are inevitably super alert. That alertness, if you have a staff that is extremely alert, they're not going to be caught off guard. And if you're a leader that is aware and awake, you're also not going to be caught off guard. So consciousness and agility for me go hand in hand. That awakeness, awareness. I I sometimes go in and very controversially stir the pot, to get people to sit up, to perk up and take note. And it's sad that it has to get like that. But typically, as a leader, one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest gifts that you can bring your organization is to drive that consciousness and to live agility. Going back to business planning, we've briefly touched on that, looking at the step analysis. So here, our step analysis is not a typical step analysis. The step analysis really forces you to engage at another level with each one of the social, the technological, the economical issues. So it is not briefly blipping over it. I mean, I've been in strategy sessions where we quickly do a step analysis. And then what? And so what? With us and our tools, this is not the case. We're really forced to interact with it and then to take the outcome of the step analysis and physically doing something with it. Improvising. When Apollo 13 was crippled, the mission team members had to use their ingenuity to solve their problems. Hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth, with no way to replace the failed CO2 scrubbers, they had to make new ones from what they had available. Likewise, your business may need rescuing, and you may need to improvise to provide a solution that meets your fundamental business needs. So here again, how best is your technology assisting you? How best is your staff equipped to improvise? So that goes hand in hand with what we've discussed before. But please don't take this lightly. Spend time on really, really, really understanding, how you can overcome the adversity that's thrown your way. So looking at product development, innovation. So again, sorry if I oversay this, but innovation is also something that excites me. Customers often say to me, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And I really lose my marbles when I hear that. We constantly have to innovate to be in the game. So through this module, we look at the product development process. We look at the product development maturity assessment. We do a product roadmap, and then product profitability, and then we do a product strategy. So just coming back to this here, what we've recently done is we've got quite a few customers in the service industry. So we also did a service profitability exercise using these exact same tools. And having said that, putting our business through this, we've realized that, and I'm going to just be very blunt about this, is that we've also fallen victim to taking the piss in terms of costing. So we have seriously sharpened our pencil, and we were in a position to do that because we did the service profitability exercise. And that has put us into a position where we're now charging prices for some of our services that customers go, but how can you afford to even keep your doors open? Trust me, we can. We've done the analysis. So similarly with you, have a look at your products, have a look at your services, really unpack every aspect of that, because you may be pleasantly surprised with the outcome in terms of what you thought could never work versus the things that you thought were working perfectly. Then turning defeat into success. Again, with Apollo, success can be found even in failure. For the Apollo 13 mission, that success was the achievement of bringing the crew back safely against all odds. The interest this generated revived the flagging public support for the Apollo program. In business, even when we fail and the sail is lost, there's always a lesson to be learned. Whatever the reason, it should be looked at as an opportunity to learn and improve so the future failures can be prevented. I in the article that I wrote, spoke about, sometimes life serves as a blow. And I think that the world at large needed a wake-up call. So we can look at this from a victim mentality, or we can look at it from a creative mentality, is to say that maybe it was time to reinvent the wheel. So use this opportunity. Our invitation is really take your business through these tools and have a look at new possibilities and new opportunities, and constantly have that mindset. Also here, with regards to turning defeat into successes, please, we cannot overemphasize the criticality of having key performance indicators to show you, is it working? And if it is working, how can we improve it? So also part of our toolkit under the business planning component is a very, very comprehensive business strategy metric dashboard. So this is live. We track it within our organization on a very regular basis. As soon as there's movement, the dashboard gets updated. And trust me, it is scary. It is scary, but it keeps us honest and it keeps us real with regards to how are we doing. So failure is not an option. I want to recap to say that make sure that you have your clear vision, your reason for existence, your why. Please, I want to again invite you to read Simon Sinek's, or even if you don't want to read, if you're not a reader, have a look on YouTube at make sure that we pick the right people. Remember, there's no more time for passengers. And make sure that you've got a balanced team in place. Then support them with the best team underneath them. And again, just to reiterate, make sure that the managers and leaders you appoint have the capability to develop and take a team with them. Support them with the best technology. Now remember, starting with doing an analysis on your technology. Is it serving you? Do you understand the full capability? And what is it that you need to implement or change? Then training and improving constantly. Remember, training the right stuff, understanding the skill setup of your organization, understanding the strategic need, and training towards that. Preparing for the unexpected, build consciousness, build agility, and keep yourself and your team on their toes. Improvising, this is about that dance, making sure that you can dance around what is difficult. So if an obstacle comes towards you, does it hit you in the face, or do you step aside and it hits the wall behind you and you've got movement and momentum to actually get away from the danger? And then ultimately, turning defeat into success, changing our relationship with what we perceive to be defeat. And you may say that's easy. It isn't. In the article that I will be sharing with all of you, there's a very honest share in terms of what we as a company have gone through during the COVID period. And it's not just been COVID that's been difficult for us. We've had a really, really tough 5 years. But our why, our reason for existence is crystal clear. And we are going to make it. We are going to be victorious. And we're going to help many, many organizations to do exactly the same. So at this point, we would like to invite you to take a business health check. If you go onto our www.business-doctors.co.za. You will have a little button that you can click there to go and take your business health check. Alternatively, you can contact one of the service providers in your area that will gladly take you through one of the very many tools that we have, starting with regeneration after COVID, a turnaround strategizer, which is something our company have put ourselves through at the moment, having a look at Business Builder, and then having a look at growth. So there are really very many areas that we can assist you with. And all of these, please note, all of these health checks and all of these analysis are basically for free. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to having you on one of our next sessions. Thank you very much, and goodbye.